some ambient bridge noise. How's it going, Joshua? Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon here on Priority One Podcast and to talk a bit about the mission revamp that you worked on. Thanks for spending some of your Saturday with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So let's talk about these missions. Let's start from the beginning. I mean, what was the decision, or why where did it come from to say, all right, let's revamp these Romulan missions? I mean, the Romulan expansion came out not long ago, so Romulan content is I mean, I want to say fairly newer compared to some of the older stuff. So why revamp it?
Well, there was a couple of things. One is that, we have an ongoing commitment to refresh our content as we go forward. And a lot of those missions were way back from launch. And, our technology has improved, our methodology has improved.
Sorry, I'm just recording. Sorry, if that's okay.
Oh, okay, sure, no problem. Our approach has improved, our technology's improved, and so as part of our ongoing commitment to the quality of the game, we like to go back and refresh our content, kind of bring everything up to the standard that we have now. So that was the main reason. And then also, with the Romulan arc, that left some things in the Romulan mystery that, maybe weren't wrapped up or didn't quite sort of flow together right. And the other piece is just that, the Romulan mystery arc as it was, it was a little bit, it didn't quite have a coherent thread all the way through. There were a lot of missions in there that were kind of one-offy or, that had been kind of added at different times, and it left the whole thing feeling a little bit meandery. So, I also did, before I had done the Borg Undine arc, and so it's sort of like part of this ongoing commitment to refresh our content was the main driver.
And it's great to see the content like this refreshed because, the game has been out for 5 years now. So some things do and often can seem a little dated, but it's great to see these refreshes come out and really just show the progress of the mechanics of the game. So it's really exciting to see these missions kind of get redone. Now, what other than trying to kind of patch up some unanswered questions mechanically or story-wise, what challenges do you face when trying to kind of update the missions?
Sure, this was really tough in that there were 14 missions, not counting the featured episode series that immediately follows it. There were 14 episodes, and I think there was 11. And had to shoehorn it down into about 4. So that was really the biggest problem, was to hit all of the story points that had been hit in all these other episodes, and to distill down to what really was the important story. And then the other part, which was challenging but also really rewarding, was the well, we might talk about this more later, but getting to revisit places in the Romulan player progression that maybe Fed players haven't gotten to see, and sort of getting to kind of play the other side of some of these encounters that you have. That was hard, getting everything to match, but it was really rewarding and a lot of fun, and the players really seemed to enjoy sort of the little touches with it. There was one player who there was the flower that Tovan Kev's sister has planted. I have a little clicky that you can find it, and you don't really know what it's about unless you've played the Romulan series, and then So just little things like that were a lot of fun to do.
Cool. Are there any other Easter eggs?
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, there was little things that sort of tie back, to the Romulan, but there's not really any Easter eggs, no, sadly.
Now you're a content creator for Star Trek Online, right? It's you, Kate. Who else is on the team that handles mission creation?
Let's see, Matt Miller and Jesse Heinig. But though Jesse is sort of a hybrid, he does some systems design work as well.
Okay. So what, in terms of development, do you guys kind of like draw straws? How do you decide, okay, Kate's going to do this, you'll do this, Matt's going to do something else?
Usually production and conference with the leads decide, who's going to do what piece, and they do a pretty good job. I mean, a lot of it's just down to scheduling, but also it's, in terms of career development or interests, they take our feedback into account. But for the most part, they look at, what task they want to have done and who's available, and they try to switch it up to keep it fresh so that, you're not always sort of doing the same type of content.
Right. I was wondering if maybe you were like, you're a super Romulan fan and you like jumped at it. You're like, I want to do the Romulan. Give it to me.
I've actually kind of become the Revamp guy.
Oh, okay.
which is cool. It's cool. I mean, I love our game, and so getting to go back and kind of reinvent something and take a new take on it, and that's a lot of fun because you get to do a lot of these little ambience kind of things that are neat.
Now, if you'll remind us, Jado, how long have you been with the team?
Let's see. We look at 2.5 years.
2.5 years. So some of these missions you were not around for when they were first launched. So what is your approach when you if you kind of coined yourself a little bit as the revamp guy? So what do you do for missions that you weren't a part of, that you weren't really there for? Where do you even start? Obviously I presume play the missions first.
Yeah, I mean, playing the missions obviously is the biggest thing. Also, the other piece is if there's any existing IP, we take IP really seriously. So if there's any tie-ins to a Star Trek episode from any of the series, that's a really important thing to be aware of. And then also, researching any characters. There's so much in our game, and there's these little threads that kind of weave throughout. So it's really important before you go and you make changes to know what happens before, what happens after, where those little threads are picked up again to make sure that things don't get dropped.
So what? All right. So I mean, yes, because there's so much lore, there's so much kind of out there, and it's hard not to step on toes and hard not to step on things that have already been established. So do you? How collaborative is it? Who's your go-to person if you have a question about lore? How comfortable are you with the lore, and what resources do you have at your disposal?
Sure. So the workflow is that I, on the day-to-day, I work really closely with an environment artist who is sort of doing the same thing that I'm doing from the environment standpoint, refreshing the environment, updating the lighting, the sky files, all that kind of stuff. Fortunately, we're really blessed between Al Rivera, Captain Gecko, Christine Thompson, Jesse Heinig. We have a great store of lore and knowledge about canon. Christine's kind of my go-to. She's a writer. She's kind of my go-to for if I have like specific questions. But Netflix has been a huge blessing because you have access to all of Star Trek at your commands. And then there's also, wiki. There's great wikis out there, and the STO wiki is actually a great resource for us as devs, because people have gone to the effort of, writing down, copying the mission tracker and all the stuff that happens on all these missions. So the fans, in a way, are also a really important resource.
That they are. It's a solid community that we have here of diehard Trek fans. And that's good that's fun, and I'm sure that the folks over at StoWiki really appreciate hearing that even the devs will refer back to that periodically to help in the development.
We also have a question in our chat. Frankie DoSpace asks, will there be more revamps? If so, which ones?
Well, I can't disclose, and the reason for that is, our plans change. I could tell you what our plans are right now, and then, in a few weeks, something might shift. So I would say that, but I will say is that we have an ongoing commitment to the quality of our game and improving stuff. And there's still stuff that, hasn't been retouched. I mean, at this point, we've redone the Fed progression. We redid the Borgundine arc. We've done the Romulan mystery. So there's only a little bit left that we haven't redone. So you can infer your own answer from that. But I would say, yes, more revamps are coming. When, I don't know, and I can't tell you which ones.
Alrighty.
So how long did it take to start? Like, how long was the process in revamping these missions? From start to finish, how long would you say it took you? Now, is it now? Clearly, you work with the art team, but primarily in terms of the story development, the structure. When working with Christine, you're the guy to put this all together, correct?
Yeah, I'm sort of where the rubber meets the road. That's how we talk about it. It's hard to explain to people that, like, exactly what I do, because it's so encompassing. It touches sort of everything. It's taking Christine's writing and the environment art and the character art and the animation and the various programming tools and putting it all together. So it's and making it fun, hopefully. So yeah, I had 6 weeks scheduled. It actually ended up taking a little bit longer. We underestimated a little bit just how much time it would take to do all of these. So it took a little bit longer, but usually about 6 weeks is what I had allocated.
That's awesome. Now you do have some. If this is what I remember in an interview with Kate, she did. If I understood her correctly, you guys do have some liberty with the story and the writing, right? You do write some of the dialogue. Christine will give you, a core of it, but you will shape it as well, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, basically, it varies by designer in terms of the writing, how much we do. I tend to do a lot of it. Jesse tends to do a lot of it. And then so Christine more comes back to make sure the tone of everything is consistent and that the characters, really it hits their voice, and to start, cleaning things up to get the voice actors in to record stuff. But the whole process is very collaborative, and that's one of the things I really enjoy about Cryptic. I mean, basically the process is the leads and producers give us a sort of a general idea of what they want to see, of the story beats they want us to hit. And then we take that information and we go back and we develop a pitch, and we say, okay, based on what you wanted to see, here's me fleshing out more details about it. And then we bring that back to them, and they say, okay, this is great, or this is great, but we would like to see this also, or these tweaks. And so it's an iterative process, and we build on that. And then so once I got approval from that, then I go and start building it, and then almost immediately we're into play tests and getting feedback. So it's definitely, I have a lot of leeway. I mean, I wrote a lot of the dialogue, and it may have been edited. Christine may have added something, but that sort of core kernel of the moment to moment of what's happening, was out of my mind, which is super cool when you have like Denise Crosby voicing something that you wrote.
Yeah,
it's a really amazing feeling.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because one of the things that is the biggest key for these missions, or the biggest kind of lore, is the fact that we now have more voice work from Denise Crosby. So how did that work? I mean, we know that Denise was there for the launch of the Romulus. Oh my gosh, the Legacy of Romulus. I mean, was this thing? Were these lines that you had already recorded? Did you bring her back in? I mean, did you have like a bank of dialogue that she had read? How did that collaboration work?
No, we brought her back in. She's been just an amazing champion of SPO and just great to work with. So, we brought her back for these lines and some other stuff. She's been just great.
That's awesome. Now, did you get to sit in and talk to her a little bit? Maybe give her a little bit of direction as she was reading your lines?
No, unfortunately. Christine handles all of that, but I didn't get to this time, but I have been guilty in the past of running up and listening at the door of the audio room.
Mm-hmm.
Because this back during Delta Rising, I had some Neelix lines and some Doctor lines and some Seven of Nine lines, and so I kind of hide outside the door and listen in on them recording their lines.
You're not the only one I've heard say that does that.
Yeah, it's a
It's
thrill,
usually a
honestly.
group,
I
isn't
mean,
it?
sometimes, I mean, yeah, there often is a group. It just depends. I always like to. If it's a celebrity that I haven't had work from before, I always like to try to listen in ahead of time if I can, just because it's a little thrill for a Trekkie, to hear your words coming out of this celebrity's mouth,
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, Jadwa, for people that might not be familiar with your gaming experience in your past, what did you do before joining Cryptic?
That's a great question. Before Cryptic, I was an account manager for a health insurance company
Wow.
in Oregon, and it just wasn't creatively fulfilling for me. So I went to grad school in Texas. I moved from Oregon to Texas for grad school. I went to Southern Methodist University, the Guildhall. It's a game development program there, and I got a master's degree there. And then from there, I was fortunate enough to be able to get a job at Cryptic, which was kind of funny because actually, I remember having this moment of deciding that I wanted to leave this corporate job and go into game design. And it was actually Champions Online that I was playing at the time, which is another Cryptic game. I was playing it and I thought, I should be making this stuff, and then so I tried to apply, but I just didn't really have the experience, So I got that through grad school and managed to land a job. So yeah, I had my undergrad was in classical languages and literature, so Latin and Greek, and creative writing. So I did have like a liberal arts background, but yeah, it was kind of a curvy path that led me to Cryptic.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's fascinating. I mean, that's amazing to hear. Well, first of all, that you went for what you wanted, right? And there's no such thing as work when you love what you do, right? So that's exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. I feel so blessed. I worked really hard, but I also was very lucky, and I never take it for granted. I love what I do, and it's a joy every day. So I feel very blessed.
So did you try your hand at the Foundry before you applied to Cryptic?
I didn't. I was so swamped grad school actually, and the Foundry. When I applied, I'm maybe dating myself now, but when I first applied to Cryptic, Star Trek Online hadn't launched yet, so there wasn't a Foundry. There might have been some UGC stuff for Champions. I'm not sure. So I hadn't really
Cool. Well, again, that's really exciting. So it's never too late. So anybody who might be interested in going into game design, go for it. Did you enjoy that program? I mean, I'm just asking generally because there might be people in the audience that might be looking into getting into game design, and you mentioned that program. So was it a great program for you?
It was. Never worked so hard in my whole life. It was so much work. Sleepless nights. They work you really hard in that program, which is great because it really gives you a taste of what it's like in game development. But definitely, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. So be prepared for that.
Sorry, the music kept going. Give me a moment.
For some reason, I thought of Jessica Spano on Saved by the Bell with her late night studying and.
So we do have a community question coming in here on the Twitch. Let me see. Here we go. So Sir Boulevard had asked, if you had your choice, what arc would you want to revamp, if any? What would be your personal goal for it?
I think I'd like to do the Cardassian arc. I think that one could use some updating. And I'm also a huge DS9 fan. That's probably my favorite series. So, getting to play around with that storyline and the True Way and the Cardassians and Bajor and all that stuff, I think that would be a lot of fun.
So let's go back to these missions here a second now. So we're actually going to play. We started playing a little bit here on the live stream, but you mentioned earlier that the timeline was about 6 weeks, but it took a little longer. What hurdles did you face when trying to develop these missions? Was there anything technical, anything you remember kind of spending a little more time on that you didn't think was going to take as long?
Ooh, I'd have to think about that for a second. I think generally it just felt like there wasn't enough time. You want to do so many things, and you only have time to do so many. So you pick your battles, and you choose what you really want to focus on. So for each episode, I had some, in my mind, what face of the story that I was trying to tell. So I think that is maybe the hardest part, is the discipline to decide this is what I'm going to focus on and this is what I'm going to kind of leave aside. It was hard, I think I said before, to compress all of these episodes down. And you want to save everything. You want to, if I had my druthers, I would have just redone all the episodes completely, start to finish. But that's just not really practical. So it was a lot of tough choices about what's going to stay, what's going to get cut, how much time do I have, what can I realistically implement in that time.
Cool. Give me 1 second here. Sorry.
Are we?
Oh, go ahead.
I wasn't sure if we were going to play them with Jadwa or we.
Did you want to run the first mission with us, Jadwa, while we're here on the live stream? If you're, it's not. If not, no worries. Did we lose him?
Oh, no, I can. I'm just not logged in.
Oh. I don't know if you can, if you don't want to log in. We are streaming on Twitch, so it's twitch.tv/priority1.
Oh, great! Can I just watch it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a slight delay though.
Yeah, there's probably going to be a slight delay. So we had already started.
Turn your volume off. On the
Twitch
you're
gonna want to turn your volume off.
The Twitch, so you're gonna see,
So before you jumped on, we had already started Emperor Sela. For people who weren't. Might not have yet played it. So we'll go through this mission. If there's anything that, as we're going along, we have any questions, we'll go ahead and have them answered if possible. But yeah, let's go ahead and continue.
I'm so pleased to see the Federation recognize and attempt to rectify its past mistakes. I knew
I'm
that
currently
people
speaking
as
to the
clever
diplomats.
as yours would realize eventually that it is folly to antagonize the Romulan Star
it's gonna be like a
Empire.
director's
I am
commentary.
also confident it will
Yeah, I was
only
gonna
be
say,
a
is it all right
matter
if I
of
just do
time
commentary
before
while
you
we play?
Absolutely, yeah,
a
by all means,
grievous
please.
error by allying
So one thing I had
yourselves
really
with
wanted in
terrorists,
this
scoundrels,
environment
and thieves.
was to
The
make
sooner
it
you renounce your
feel
poorly considered
like
alliance with the
a
so-called
real
Romulan
a real base, that like this, and so it was maybe a little bit, you'll see that the hallways are a little bit larger than we usually use, which was a little bit problematic for the environment artist just because there's more space to fill. But I really wanted it to have this feel of like a conference hall or, a diplomatic embassy. My favorite thing about this, though, is the atrium in the middle. I just think I think it was my idea. I'm gonna take credit for it, even if it wasn't. Usually what happens is we do kind of a white box, which is just sort of the general layout, and then we kind of have people test it and get a feel for it, and so I had laid this out originally, I'm pretty sure, with this kind of open space in the middle, and it's really nice because it's you're all indoors, but you get the sense of an alien world beyond it.
Can you go in there?
You can't. You can only just see it. Yeah.
Okay.
To be a terrorist organization.
All right.
So the diplomats were a lot of fun to write
I
too,
apologize for the interruption.
Oops. Go ahead.
My name is Tokat.
especially the Romulan ones, because it has this really. One of my favorite things to write is these really sort of
Could I borrow you for
almost
a moment so you can
snarky kinds of, arrogant attitudes that the Romulans have. If you read their dialogue, it's like everything's kind of a little dig at the Federation. It's like, okay, we're having this conference, but we still don't think very much of you guys. So those the kinds of things are fun for me to write. I like those.
You Romulan sympathizer, you.
Franklin Drake says you can be trusted, and that is enough for me. There's more going on here than a diplomatic conference. Sela has no interest in courting the Federation. So why is she suddenly doing so now? We're going to find out what she's up to.
Man, this actor sounds so much like what's his name? The Andorian on Enterprise. The actor who
Sean.
plays the
Wayun?
Wayun, the actor who plays Wayun on Deep Space Nine.
And along with all kinds of other characters.
Yeah, he does a bunch of stuff. What's his name?
I don't know.
Somebody help
It'll
me
be
in the
our
chat.
first giveaway.
Lower
No,
level
just kidding.
facility is off limits to everyone but the
Sure
Emperor.
somebody-
I love Wayun.
I know,
But
me too.
that access hatch
The
right
Vorta
over there
are another
Jeffrey
awesome
Combs.
race.
is a maintenance tunnel that leads down.
This guy sounds a lot like Jeffrey Combs.
So while I distract the guards, you
He
sneak
looks a little
through the
drunk.
door.
Or is he just tired?
Alright.
Neurotonic.
Nerve
Yeah.
tonic. Oh yeah.
You know it. Now he's walking like he's fine, so. He's a pro.
This is a really nice environment.
Yeah, I really like this environment.
The colors are really nice too, actually.
I was just gonna say that, and the lighting is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Guard, security breach, suspicious package.
Man, there's a lot of detail in here.
The hatch is just ahead in the northeast corner of the room. There will be a security room.
And the environments,
Exit of the maintenance tunnel
Mhm.
on the level below. us.
yeah, they're really
Access
great.
one of the consoles there.
He did a great job on this
Maybe
one.
you'll learn more about what she's doing. I need to get back.
Does sound like Wayun.
It does. It sounds exactly like Jeffrey Combs. Yeah, there's a lot of detail here, man.
Oh, a bunch of chairs. Bunch of empty chairs. It's so cool. Whoa! I just fell. Oh, okay, I'm fine.
What?
When it said enter the maintenance shaft, I kind of fell down it a little bit.
And who designed the environment here?
It was originally Keenan Default, but I believe, if memory serves, that he actually went on paternity leave for a little bit, and so some of it got worked on also, I think, by Nathan Herzog.
Okay.
Sort of a team effort on the environment here.
Oh, all right, here we go. Access authorized, enter command. Uh-oh. Access communication logs, disable transport inhibitors. Eyes only to Commander Tenjan and Priscilla. Per our agreement, my ships have acquired the Borg sphere and towed it to the Pilatus system. I anticipate your prompt acceptance of our proposal for new hunting grounds and the interesting prey you have promised us. Security console, and I want to see the storage room.
Empress, the fleet is on its way to Vulcan.
Excellent. Have the weapons loaded.
Cookie, you asked earlier about Easter eggs. I don't know if it's exactly an Easter egg, but there is sort of a little bit of one coming up here in a minute.
Destruction of Romulus.
Oh no, she's gliding.
Through to my personal terminal.
Who's gliding? What are you talking about?
I have matters to attend to.
Yes, Empress.
Oh.
Oh, she is gliding. I'll need to fix that. No.
Ooh, she's got frosted boots on, I think.
Yeah.
It looks
all right.
She's been ice skating in the Winter Wonderland.
We need to make that available all year round on Andoria.
After I left Starfleet, I made it my life's work to reunite the Romulans with their Vulcan brothers. For many years, I lived among them and waged a campaign of peace. 21 years ago, the star of the Hobus system went supernova and sent a wave of devastation across the quadrant.
That's cool. Using his voice again.
I promised to save
Yeah, that was one thing that we thought was just a cool thing to kind of tie back in that his little, intro speech that we've had forever and kind of reuse it. And it's one of those things that, there was a little bit of controversy, I think, from people about it, but I just think it's cool. So
Controversy? Why? Why would there be controversy?
Well, let's see. I just remember from reading the forums that some people felt like it didn't necessarily make sense why Sela would be hearing this speech, right? If Spock, went to another universe.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but I think it fell through a wormhole or something. I think it could still work.
It was his final log before getting caught into the wormhole.
Exactly.
It was the final. It was like the black box that he sent out, a beacon that went out right before he got sucked into JJ universe.
Right. Yeah. He launched a probe. Right. Right as he
let
left.
somebody know what was going on and where he was going and say goodbye.
The great cosmic my bad.
Yes, the great my bad. All right. Back to route, and I need to disable the transport. Disable. And activate communications. Oh, here we go.
I have Hakeev, Empress.
Patch him through.
Sela's super fun to write for too, because she's just so. Anyone that has these really powerful convictions, but maybe questionable morality, a lot of fun to write.
Love the way she voices it.
Yeah, she does really great voice work. We've been really blessed. I mean, it's just all the voice talent we've had is just amazing.
Nothing is more important than avenging the destruction of our homeworld.
So isn't there going to be a new
You disappoint me,
voice
Hakeev.
actor?
I trust you will not do so again.
Way to try to fish, Cookie.
I'd have to see what's been announced already before I answer that question.
Well, I don't
Nothing.
see
It's
that's
just
the thing.
Al.
I don't know if it's fish. I don't know if it's Ben. I don't know if they said that it was a new voice actor or just another person coming back. That's the thing I'm not sure of.
No, I
It's
think he
new or-
said. Al said. I think he said new, but he didn't say anything beyond that
So it is new. Okay.
in his tweet.
Sorry to be cryptic, no pun
Nah.
intended.
We're used to it.
Now, as I'm kind of going through with the spatial charges, can you remind us again, and for the listeners, kind of what the story is, what's going on right now, what has led us to this point, what is the Romulan arc a little bit?
Sure, yeah. So at this point in the story, Sela has, it's so after, clearly after New Romulus has been destroyed, Sela is still harboring. She still blames the Federation, specifically Vulcan, because the Vulcan Science Council. I might mess this up. I apologize. People can correct me in the chat, but the Vulcan Science Council refused to help the Romulans with the whole Hobus supernova explosion. So this is Sela is still harboring resentment towards
She's a little bitter.
the Federation. She's bitter, and so she's sort of in a way getting her revenge. But also, of course, Sela is, she's like, at this point in the story, she's holding together the pieces of this disintegrating empire. She's got the new Romulan Republic on the one hand. She's got sort of uneasy alliance with the Tal Shiar. So there's a lot of factionalism going on inside of the Romulan, what's left of the Romulan Empire. She's got Taurus off somewhere. So she's trying to kind of keep it all together, and this is her sort of revenge, and also I feel like this isn't really explicit, but also sort of unifying the remains of her empire behind her.
Back in space now.
Yep, heading up into space. Alright, so Admiral satellites are emitting dampening field that has knocked our engines offline. The diplomatic vessels have been similarly affected. Break free from the dampening field. Initiate a feedback pulse. Oh, look, my bridge officers are on lunch.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man. I'm on red alert now, so I'm not going to be able to do anything. Let's quickly... I told our prelude writer to include little things like this. Like I walk on my bridge and where are my bridge officers? Why is nobody taking care of the bridge?
That's a whole episode right there.
It is a whole episode. Where is everybody?
Everybody fell into another universe. Oh no. Oh, actually, that was an episode. Crusher and TNG, right? Gets
Oh,
sucked into the
yeah.
warp bubble.
Alone.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, sorry, I said New Romulus earlier. I meant Romulus was destroyed. It's the chat here keeping me honest.
I thought we'd never be free of that blasted field. I never recommend get a accommodation.
Oh, I gotta switch my engines. Communicating.
I had not expected to hear from you so soon. Was your mission
Who
successful?
voices Admiral Tanay?
Oh man, I'd have to ask Christine.
I should have expected
It's
as
somebody
much.
we've used.
You
I think it
cannot
might
trust them.
be.
I do. I am contacting all available ships. We will be
Yeah, I'd have to ask Christine.
Warp to Vulcan.
She's amazing. She knows like all the people like off the top of her head. She could tell you who voiced everything. I
Nice.
think it might be Lonnie.
Do you know who voiced the Zindi in that? What was it? The Zindi. Never mind.
Thanks
It was
to
a
your
really
warning,
funny
we
voice.
were able to divert some
Oh, and the
ships to
Ferengi
defend
too,
Vulcan.
on that same
I
mission.
have come to
Was that?
personally command the defense.
It was the mission
other
where
forces
you have to talk
already
to
been
all the
briefed.
different delegates.
Your role in this battle will
sphere,
be to
in the-
defend the science vessels that have set up a tachyon detection grid to detect any cloaked Romulan
I don't remember
ships.
which sphere
We
it was.
cannot allow any enemy ships to slip
Oh, is
through.
that Sphere of Influence?
The ships maintaining the grid
Yeah,
will be
maybe.
priority targets for the
The
Romulans,
names
but they
escape me at
must
the
remain
moment, but
in
they
position or
had
the
all
grid will
kinds of
collapse.
interesting
That
voices.
is
I
why
liked
need
them
you
all.
to protect them.
It was really funny.
You know, I kind of like these kind of because this is like almost like a territory control, like or no, not territory control, but escort, defend. You know, make sure they don't die, kind of thing. I like these. I like these kind of
How
missions.
can you fight what you cannot see?
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I had in mind, I'm not going to remember the name of the episode. There's one where the Romulans are trying to
Our tachyon
to
detection grid
cross
has revealed
some
ships
space, and
attempting to
Geordi
penetrate
comes up with
perimeter.
this tachyon or anti-tachyon grid to detect them. So that's what that was. You know, I was talking earlier about Can and stuff. I definitely had that episode in mind when I was doing this.
And it was surface tensions according to the chat.
Surface tension.
Lots of fun
Your
voices.
attempts to interfere are meaningless. Vulcan must pay for its crimes.
So here she's trying to destroy Vulcan, pretty much. She's trying to get them back.
Right.
Too bad they didn't have this tachyon grid with Nero. You doing all right, Cookie? You
Cannot oppose the will of
What?
the Romulans.
You blowing things up?
We are determined.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Who am I kidding? Are you alright, Cookie? She got there into the 30k DPS before I did.
As long
Before
as I
any of
stay
us
there.
did.
For long.
Sela has launched her
So what's your playstyle, Jadwal? I mean, when you're creating a mission, what do you try to keep in mind? I mean, you know, because we've got some action here, you know. You know, how do you mitigate that balance? Like, what do you try to keep in mind?
Pacing. It's an art, not a science.
Yeah.
It's what I really like to do. And another piece is, one thing that's really amazing about our game is that there's a whole different range of players that play this. Some people are really hardcore gamers. Some people just really like Star Trek, and then maybe this is even the only MMO that they play. So it's really important to design content that can be enjoyed, especially when you're doing the story content, by a whole range of people. So it has to be challenging enough for your really hardcore player to not be bored, but it also has to be easy enough that your less hardcore player is not gonna get frustrated. So that's number one. And then number two is making sure that if you have a ton of combat, you don't get like fatigued by just combat, that it's broken up by puzzles, and the converse too, that you don't have, it's not just sort of page after page of clicking through dialogue that and then so the next level below that is then even within the combat, you want to make sure that the encounters feel different, that it's not just it's not always 3 frigates every time, or that there's different challenges, and this kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, that the challenges are varied, so that it's not always just sort of kill 3 things, but it's escort, even though everyone hates escort missions, or defend, or capture, or that it's important that the player is the star and that you're the agent in the action, and I always want you to feel like you are the captain. That's the one of the really great things about our game, I think, is that you get to be, the captain of your own starship, or admiral, or whatever. So those are the things that I tend to keep in mind when I'm designing a mission.
I didn't ask you when we were talking a bit before about your history. Were you a Star Trek fan before applying at Cryptic?
Sorry, I think I lost you for a minute. Can you repeat that?
I was saying that when we were talking a little bit about your history, I forgot to ask, were you a Star Trek fan before applying at Cryptic? Was that one of the reasons that you were kind of like, oh man, they're working on Star Trek, I got to get in on that?
It wasn't. It was funny. It was just sort of a lucky, just kismet, right? I was a Star Trek fan. I was a huge Deep Space Nine fan. I remain a huge Deep Space Nine fan. And I also, and I grew up on TNG, essentially. So getting to work on Star Trek was just, it was like the cherry on top. It was already like, oh my god, I get to work on MMOs. Oh my god, I get to work on Star Trek. And then when Denise Crosby came into the office, or Garrett Wong, it's just nerdgasm all over the place.
I know, I can only imagine.
Yeah, Garrett's a lot of fun too. He's just very approachable, and he's fun.
All right, so at this point we have foiled Empress Sela's plot to destroy Vulcan, and she's pretty upset. Oh. I'm detecting some unusual energy signatures from some of the debris from the Romulan vessel. Move us in. Let's take a look. What did she do? What's interesting is as an end game player, going back and playing these missions and remembering, oh, okay, no, this is if there's like I already knew this kind of thing, but I'm relearning it for the first time, so that my brain's kind of going, wait, what? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. This explains it.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the funny things. Like, like where you're about to go on the next mission, Pilatus. I mean, that was. It's like some things are salvaged, you know, and then reinvented.
How much time do you have, Jado? Do you want to do one more mission? I don't know what your afternoon is looking like.
Sure, you know, I'm fine. We can do one mission if you like.
Okay, yeah. Let's do the next one. Let's see.
Did you just share it with me?
Okay.
Did you?
No, not yet.
Okay.
All
Can't tell
right,
if
so
this was
let's
pop-up
read
or-
Admiral Tanay. I doubt we have seen the last of Sela. The people of Vulcan and Starfleet Command both asked me to congratulate you on averting what could have been a terrible disaster. Clearly, she has been blinded by anger. Perhaps in time, Sela will come to realize that Vulcan and Starfleet are not to blame for the destruction of Romulus. Excuse me. I am deeply concerned by our discovery of Romulan attempts to modify Borg technology. Such attempts in the past have led only to disaster, but Sela is desperate to hold the remnants of the Romulan Empress together, and desperate people take the greatest risks.
Hey, wake up.
Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 moment. I'm sorry. How do I do that? Sorry guys, give me a second here. Some administrative things.
So, Jadwa, what is your favorite PvE queue in the game?
I like the Borg queues a lot. Infected and the Kittimer. Those are probably my favorite, the ones I play the most often. Oh, but I also really like, I'm embarrassed, I won't remember the name, Starbase Blockade? Yeah, that one's a lot of fun too. And also the Starbase Defense Fleet Action, that's fun too. Although, when you have a lot, it can be a little bit laggy because there's so many people doing stuff at the same time. But I really like again, I was saying before, I like when you have, you know, sort of the objectives, and on that one, how things kind of carry over stage to stage. I like that a lot. Oh, and also the mirror invasion, of course, but I'm partial.
Oh,
I made
really?
it.
Did you? Oh, okay. I hated that one for a while, actually.
Did you? What
Yeah,
about Azure Nebula? I also did that one.
I like that one if you get like a good team that knows the plan. But back to the mirror. That's one benefit that I've noticed increasing my DPS, because it is not stressful for me anymore like it was when I didn't. I could not. Oh my goodness, it was so difficult. And I could not seem to close the rifts. I couldn't kill the groups before closing the rifts, but now it's like, now I'm looking forward to it coming back. I'm actually able to enjoy it. So.
I mean, again, I'm biased. I like that one a lot because I think it does what I wanted to do, which was it forces you to use teamwork. If you don't, you won't do that well.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, I've set up a few people in the priority one from the priority one fleet and listeners as moderators in the live stream, Twitch live stream. So if you guys can help me out, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. SFC is a moderator, Orangitis is a moderator, Chris Trone is a moderator, and Lance and Dragon is a moderator.
I wasn't even looking at that.
Yeah, something was going on in the chat. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay, back to
All
the
right,
mission.
back to better things. All right, here we go. So, Admiral Tanay, collect reward. Oh, I have to choose it. I want to do this one. All right. Up next, desperate measures. All right, the leaders of the Romulan Empire have been blinded by their ambition to salvage what remains of their empire. In their blindness, they have begun to meddle with forces beyond their control. During the incident at Agrama, you uncovered a message from the Hirogen indicating that they delivered a Borg sphere to the Romulans. Even more troubling was that some of the Romulan ship debris from Vulcan showed signs of being modified with Borg technology. Our allies in the Romulan Republic have shared information regarding a failed attempt by the Tal Shiar to study and adapt Borg technology. The Tal Shiar crew that boarded the cube came to a disastrous end. Fortunately, a Republic agent was able to destroy it before it could fully reactivate. We cannot afford another incident like this. Long-range scans indicate the Tal Shiar have the Borg sphere they got from the Hirogen in the Pilatus system. You must travel there and destroy it. After it is neutralized, see if you can find a way to track any Borg technology and Romulans that the Romulans may have salvaged from it. Even a small device could prove devastating in the wrong hands. That's right. That's what happened in JJ-verse.
And happens later in the Borg Undine arc. This episode both looks back and looks forward to, don't mess with things that you shouldn't be.
All right, traveling there now, and I gotta share it with Cookie.
Share?
Desperate measures, share.
Okay.
And I'm gonna Pilatus.
On my way. Do we want anybody else to join us, or?
No, we're okay. We're okay for now. And I'm there. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in.
Adwa, have you been playing that mini game?
Not on live that much, but we played it a bunch when we were sort of testing it and figuring out what the scores should be, So I played it a bunch, but I haven't played it really on live.
I love it.
Captain, we have the Borg sphere on sensors. There are multiple.
Oh, you like it? I'll pass that along.
Oh, we're addicted to it. I mean,
We want to keep it all the time.
I know. I would probably do nothing but do. If you guys kept it that long, I would do nothing but play that minigame. The tech upgrades are great. I mean, there's no question about it that those tech upgrades are amazing. But for whatever reason, man, I zone out when I play that. I have a dual monitor setup, so I put Enterprise or some kind of Trek up on the one screen, and then I just start zoning out and doing, bloop, 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 bloop.
That's really good to hear. I'm a huge advocate for mini games inside of STO because it feels Trek to me to have these little, beeping and booping things that you get to do.
Beta loves scanning for life forms.
Life
so it's kinda
forms.
feels like that.
Okay, so in this mission, our goal is to get back the stolen Borg technology.
Really blow it up.
Yeah.
So, and this mission is, this stage of this mission, I should say, is almost directly pulled from the previous series.
There's an anomaly over there.
Destroy the Borg technology before JJ can do anything with it.
One nanovirus can ruin your whole day.
So.
You want to scan that anomaly?
You can scan it if you want. Oh.
Or whatever it is? I don't even know.
All right, Captain, our top priority should be to find any technology or research the Romulans may have salvaged already. There is a Romulan communication satellite in this area. If we program it to transmit an emergency signal, the Romulans will send a ship here to investigate. We can hide behind the asteroid. If we run minimal power, then the mineral content in it should disrupt sensor readings. Once that patrol vessel arrives, we can use a reconfigured Class 2 probe to essentially tag the Romulan ship. Even if they cloak, we'll be able to follow the probe's energy signature. If there is a base anywhere in the region, we'll find it. Reconfigure the Romulan communication satellite. Are you going to scan it, Cookie?
I did.
Oh.
I did that already while you were reading.
Wait, what's this? Oh, I had another thing to scan. Oh, minigame. Oh, minigame. Oh, minigame. Oh, okay, got it. Are you reconfiguring? Or activating?
If you want me to.
Oh, there we go. Excellent. Now we need a place to hide. If we fly behind the asteroid and power down our systems, we should be able to avoid detection. Fly behind and power down the systems. Now this asteroid had a donut thing, didn't it? Are there any accolades that we should be aware of?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think. There might have been some before. I don't think there are on this map.
I'm going to try to fly through it. Oh. No. Okay. So
Why are you
hiding
down there.
I don't know. Because I flew through the donut. Observe the Romulan ship. Where's the ship? I'm missing the ship. Oh, there it is.
Diamond.
Cookie, they saw you.
Who saw me? What are you talking about?
If I were to... oh, wait. Cookie, you're breaking the immersion. You're supposed to be hiding behind...
about?
You're supposed to be hiding behind the asteroid.
Oh.
My immersion!
Thought we were... Okay.
The ship...
It's okay. Romulans don't look out the windows.
Yeah. Exactly.
The ship has gone to warp, sir. Based on telemetry from the probe, I believe they are traveling to the Gasco system. I thought that said gecko for a second. There is a small colony on a space station there. Laying in a course to Gasco, sir. We can leave as soon as you're ready. Warp!
So this was a lot of fun because I came on just before we started working on Legacy of Romulus. So I actually worked on Gasco in that series. And then so I got to work on it again from a different perspective for this arc. And so it was cool to get to reuse the location because you only see it that once, and also to, you know, kind of take a new twist on a place I had worked on before with telling a different story.
All right, so they caught us.
Is it my fault?
Should have hidden behind that asteroid.
Yeah, you should. Had we hidden them behind the asteroid, we would have been able to swoop in and been okay. Way to go, Cookie. You know, everybody usually uses this reminds me of, you know, it's a trap. And everybody usually goes to that. But, man, in, okay, beam down. Hey, Cookie, make sure Bubblegum has...
Yours don't have any to me, so I think it's just a glitch.
Oh, yeah, it is a glitch. Look at that. Okay. So,
Fix it, Jadwa.
What's wrong?
I don't think that's his department.
I know. It's just a bug we found,
If you the beam down, the beam party, if you see in the little thing, I don't see her powers, but she can see my powers.
Oh. I make a note.
So we've arrived at Gasco. The station is on high alert. We should expect heavy resistance. Normally, Starfleet attempts to resolve peacefully, but in this case, security of the quadrant requires an armed response. We should interrogate any scientists we find along the way. Defeat the guards.
Hey, look, you can jump from one to another without touching the ground.
It's lava.
Lava. What are you doing here?
We have traced Borg technology back to the station. We intend to destroy
Really?
it.
I sympathize. That Borg technology is creepy. We all hate it, but we don't have any choice but to work for the Tal Shiar. They're holding my sister hostage to make sure I behave.
Wow, the
And
delay
she's
on the
not
Twitch
only
stream
one.
is like over a minute
You might
right
need
now.
help yourself
Seems
in a
like.
minute or two. Your transport was detected. And
Yeah,
the
it gets a little
station is on
confusing. I have to
high
like
alert.
think ahead
I
to like what
know,
comes
yeah.
next.
They're already on their way. You don't have a chance. Promise you'll try to help my sister, and I'll unlock all the doors and turbo lifts for you. There, she's near the medical bay.
And I also
Good luck,
have to rely
and
on that
don't
too
forget
because
my
I can't see
sister.
what he's seeing. And I'm not interacting with any of the stuff, so I don't mess it up.
Oh, hello. Surprise. Welcome party.
Freeze you.
What's happening?
Why can't I run fast right now?
Oh. So did you reuse any of the assets from the original one? You mentioned before that you had worked on this one, but I'm sorry if I missed you say if you had reused any of the assets or kind of or was everything kind of redone from scratch?
No, we pretty much reused, for this part, we reused almost all of the station because it was, it was recent enough that the quality was good and the art style fit in with, sort of where our game is at currently. So, I modified it somewhat, like where you are on the Twitch that I'm seeing anyway. There's a med bay that now you can't get into. That you could, and you can see it on the mini map. And then there's another floor that appears that doesn't appear in that one. So a lot of it got reused.
Actually, I think I remember this. I think I'm starting to remember this mission a little bit, or kind of when I played.
Yeah, in that one, it's more. It's a neutral station at that point, because that part happens before this mission in the timeline, and so it's sort of like it's not so combat-y because you're more talking to people, and but then it kind of turns. You have a confrontation with Hakeev in his office at the bottom, and then you end up rescuing people from the colony. But this time, it's all Tal Shiar and scientists who are under their thumb.
Finally found you. Running away.
I'm running away?
Yes.
I'm not running away.
Away from me.
I'm just progressing through the mission. Okay. Now we go downstairs.
Thank you.
Please enter selection. Alright. I need to access research log. 1. Head research log supplemental. The Hirogen upheld their end of the bargain and delivered a disabled Borg sphere to the Pilatus system. As a precaution, we have not moved the sphere from that location. I do not want to risk powering any systems that might trigger the Borg's regeneration protocols. However, I do feel it is safe to begin dismantling and analyzing the sphere's components. The Borg technology shows great promise. I believe we will be able to improve our weapons and shield technology well within the Empress's timeline. Romulan component, Borg component. Oh man, nobody. Armageddon.
Was that a movie?
Yeah, Armageddon. It was when they're up in space and it's broken, and he's like, Russian components, American components, all made in Taiwan. From that Michael Bay film. No, all right. Cricket.
Is that the one with the explosions in it?
Yes, lots of explosions in space.
I think Shadow was.
Oh right, that's ones where the explosions in space make noise, isn't it? That's why I have it blocked out.
Yes.
I'm one of those horrible people that when the science doesn't make sense in a movie, it just ruins it for me.
So you must have liked Firefly and Serenity then, because they withheld the scientific accuracy of the noise in space.
I love Firefly and Serenity.
Me too.
All right.
I heard
so
there was going to be a video game coming out.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think I saw something on Steam about like an MMO or something in that universe.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right, so work to integrate Borg components into our vessels has begun. So far, the process is proceeding as expected. We have increased the combat capabilities of our ships by upward of 30%, and I still feel like we are barely scratching the surface. There's too much about the Borg technology I do not understand. Some of the researchers have expressed concerns over the risks of experimenting with this technology. I explained that circumstances beyond our control force us to take extreme measures. I suspect that they continue to have misgivings, but they no longer share them with me. And the third, I now share my staff's misgivings about the line of research. Incorporating Borg technology in our ships is one thing, but this Commander Nevek has taken over our medical bay and is experimenting with incorporating Borg technology into our citizens. Anybody that expresses discontent with the program either disappears or finds their family being held hostage to ensure their cooperation. We should have never sided with the Tal Shiar, and now it's too late.
I saved
Dun
one
dun
for you.
dun.
Mm-hmm.
I did the other two though.
Oh, you destroyed the...
I did the other two of them.
Cool. Ow. All right.
The turbolift. Take the turbolift to the medical bay.
So, I mean, a lot of this was influenced a lot by the JJ film, right? A lot, the whole Romulan and Borg technology, because that's how Nero buffed up his ship.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this goes back to sort of incorporating the JJ sort of timeline into our universe. Mm-hmm. So, and then there's all this stuff with Taurus too, that because in the other arc, in the Romulan player, you actually catch her on Hobus and she jumps through a gateway, but then she shows up in jail in Facility 4028. We had to kind of bridge that gap. So a lot of the work on this was sort of bridging gaps, making sure that threads didn't get dropped, and trying to create tie-ins elsewhere in the game where it was possible.
And if I'm not mistaken, the whole concept of the explosion, Romulus being destroyed, kind of was caught Cryptic off guard, correct?
Yeah, I don't know that I can speak really confidently about that, but definitely it was it was something that it was near the launch of the game, I believe. And so definitely I know that we had to do a bit of a course correction, and there was sort of a decision to acknowledge it. I mean, we could have just ignored it, right? I mean, that would have been certainly a viable option, but the decision was made to incorporate that, but then and I think, as we often do, we sort of turned it an obstacle into an opportunity, and that this gave us the chance to tell this really compelling story about what happens to this people after they've lost their home worlds.
Mm-hmm.
But you should ask Geckoer about that.
Yeah. I think we touched on it a little bit in years ago. This is Admiral Leandros. Just wanted to let you know that your brother is safe and aboard our ship.
Thank you so much. Now,
download the access codes and access the
In
mainframe.
this hole.
Purge computer core.
So one of the important things and you might have seen it with the Borg debris in the last one, leads to this one. This person that you save leads to the next episode. So one of the things that was really important to me was to weave these stories together so that it kind of makes sense why you go from one mission to another.
Now, I noticed, we talked a little bit earlier about gameplay, and you mentioned things like mini games. I almost expected a few mini games, like for instance this console here, and having to enter a code or something. Was that a decision that you made to not incorporate something like that?
No, I think it was just a matter of trying to, kind of fit everything in a way that makes sense. Yeah, I could see a mini game in this part. I just didn't happen to put one in.
Mm-hmm. I remember this, delaying the ship activation.
Yeah, so that was I think in the Dimmerus system before. I can't remember the name of the episode, but it was towards the end of the Romulan mystery. So this part, again, this was somewhat saved, but also reinterpreted a little bit. And I think in the other one, there's just like 3 or 4 ships that are just waking up, and you just shoot them, which I don't really like things like that, because it's just shooting a bag of hit points doesn't always feel great to me. So I try to avoid it when I can. So I try to add a little more interesting gameplay of sort of being able to delay their boot up sequence and kind of decide who you want to fight, while maintaining the idea of the core concept of these powers adapted Romulan vessels powering up with this new technology that they've discovered.
I must deliver a report on what's happened to our ruling council, and I...
It's sort of a Creole, something old, something new, just mix it all together.
What's that mission that you were like, you had to go through some kind of obstacle course with your ship, and at the end it turned out to be a trap? Anybody remember that?
There's the Prole, where you're in a shuttle, where they're like testing you, and it turns out to be a trap. It's in Delta Rising. What's the name of the system? I want to say Jarlith, but
see, I was thinking of something in the back.
Were you thinking of the one where you slingshot around the? That's not a trap, though.
That's Night of the Comet. I'm very familiar with that one. That's where you get nerve tonic.
Oh, right.
But maybe I'm thinking of the one from Delta Rising. I just thought it was a different one, but I really liked that one.
Cool. Continue. Excellent. Well, Jadwa, I want to thank you. I mean, I know that we said we were going to do one more, and so I want to thank you for spending an afternoon with us here on Priority One Podcast to kind of talk about the creation, the revamp of these missions and the reimagination of them. And so, this has been a great experience, and I'm sure our Romulan fans certainly appreciate it and love it.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I always love talking to you guys. It's a lot of fun.
We'll have you on again on the next revamp and the next content that you're creating. Please, by all means, don't be a stranger here on Priority One Podcast. We love having you guys visiting us here.
Thank you so much.
All right, Jadwa, take care. Thanks again.